Good morning. March 2016. Thought I would share with you guys just a little bit of a story and an introduction. A lot of my videos that I've put online, I'm trying to capture some old songs. I haven't played much through the years for my friends or family. It's kind of been just an enjoyment of myself. It's turned into a little bit of what I call an obsession. I now have 6 guitars and a banjo hanging in the background. My loving wife has allowed me to enjoy my hobby. I've purchased some pretty fine instruments and I've enjoyed them. But as an introduction to some of these videos online, this goes back a few years. I started playing guitar in 1964, actually playing it. Picked up the guitar around 7 years old and had a little toy model that I just used to love to act like I played, and went and grabbed it every time that Bonanza, the old TV show, came on TV. And my brothers and sisters used to laugh at me every time I'd rush and get my guitar and act like I was playing the lead guitar to the song for the 1960s, early 1960s, late 50s Bonanza series. But in 1964, I was at the age of 12, and my mother and father didn't have a lot of money back then. Lived out in the country, and money was quite hard to come by. But I showed an interest, and for Christmas in 1964, I got my first guitar, a Harmony rounded body F-hole acoustic guitar, as a present. It was bought from a cousin of my father's, Bill Clark, lived in Pendleton, Indiana. And Mom and Dad negotiated for that guitar for $40. And that was a lot of money back then in 1964. $40 for a Christmas gift was about all of my Christmas. But throughout the years, that's probably one of the better gifts my parents have ever given me. The joy of music, and I've enjoyed the guitar many, many times. Going on to that, what I'm going to do is put together a series of songs that I played in a group that a bunch of us kids started in 1967. A good friend of mine, Mike Andis, through high school, you wouldn't find one without the other. Mike and I were just about inseparable. And his brother, older brother, Jimmy David, had a, so to speak, 1960s rock group. And Mike and I wanted to be like them. So we started searching around, and in our class in high school, we found another guitarist who shared the interest with us, named Chris Wilson. Lived down toward Woodbury, Indiana, just down 67 toward McCordsville. And he could play and had taken some lessons, and Chris had played pretty much fingerstyle lead guitar, where, let's see, where I played mostly chords. And I played rhythm guitar. Chris was our lead guitarist. Mike played a little bit of bass. He played guitar also, but for our group he pretty much played bass. And he sang too. Mike's voice was not all that bad, and Chris and even myself and our drummer, Lenny Kramer, what a wonderful guy. He was a year younger than us in school and played drums. His brother Nick played bass for Mike's older brother Jimmy David's band, is how we got in touch with Lenny Kramer. So we formed a little group and started practicing some songs back then in the 60s. The Beatles were the big hit in 1964. The Rolling Stones come out with hits of their own. There was many groups that were just forming as the London invasion, so to speak, hit the United States. So everybody was kind of rock and roll crazy. But we started playing some things, and I've got a list of songs that's going to follow that I was the rhythm guitarist in. After we got going in 10th grade, later on, we had an English teacher, Mrs. Sanford, and she used to tease us boys quite a good bit about what we played and whatever. She said, "Do you have a name for your group?" And we had thought about a few different things. At one time, we wanted to be called the Monkees, but I think that name stuck with another famous group. I had drawn pictures of the Monkees. I had the Outlaws was another picture that I drew, and we were trying to figure out a name for our little group. Well, it come right down to it that she had kind of a cool name, and she never did tell us how it came about, but she told us the name the Deadwood Gulch. It was an association of hers, and it sounded just kind of pretty cool. So we adopted the name the Deadwood Gulch. And in 1967, in the fall of that year, the group the Deadwood Gulch was formed. Mike Andis on vocals and bass, Chris Wilson on lead guitar, Lenny Kramer on drums, and yes, myself, Tim Hayes, played rhythm. I have a couple articles you probably see in our genealogy that we played several different gigs around. One of our main gigs was done at the Fortville VFW. We had a friend in our class, Judy Partlow, that told us that they were looking for a band to play on Sunday afternoons to give the kids someplace, something to go do, and they invited us if we wanted to play. Lenny Kramer's dad, Tink Kramer, or Leonard Kramer Sr. is who he was. He was a member of the VFW also. Judy's father, Tom Partlow, was the VFW commander, post leader, whatever he was. He implemented a lot of this, but we played for a long time, Sunday afternoons, in the VFW uptown in Fortville, Indiana, as the Deadwood Gulch. We played quite a bit at different gigs in the evenings and practiced out at the Fortville Shelter House out in the Fortville Park. We would rent that shelter house for $1. You could go in there, and if you left it the same way you found it, you had the permission to use it as a Fortville town place to play, or events, birthday parties, weddings, receptions, whatever it may be. You could rent that place for $1 and clean it up and turn the keys back in. And of course, they said no problem. Thank you very much. Well, we would play out there in the evenings on Friday and Saturday nights, practicing out in the park, where our music wouldn't bother the neighbors around town. And we done that several times. But we got to playing later on in this, the time that we played together. Mike, being the singer and person that he was, wanted to try to make your own song. Every group had a signature song, so he was out to try to develop a song. He come up with a song named Girl, Girl, and he and I started working on it pretty good to find some music to go with it. See if I can play it. Follow me, follow you wherever I be. Girl, girl, follow Well, you kind of get a little bit of the idea. The song went nowhere. The lyrics I've long forgotten. I've asked Mike, I've seen him, he's still around. I've asked him, and he can't remember the lyrics. He doesn't have them written down anywhere. But we played that pretty much as our signature, that no one else knew that song. I wish I could still play it today. We played things like House of the Rising Sun and Walk Don't Run, Pipeline, Wipeout, Louie Louie, Gloria. We had so many back then. Satisfaction was a #1 hit in 1965 by the Rolling Stones, and we played Satisfaction. Of course, the Beatles, Day Tripper was one of the main guitarists' themes that people would play. And we'd do something like that and play with that one. So we're going to do a little bit of rhythm leads throughout all these songs that we had. I hope you enjoy them. I hope to do better than what I did on this little intro video. But my name is Tim Hayes. This is March of 2016. And I just hope somebody somewhere in the future gets a little bit of happiness out of this. Before we leave, that is me in 1964. At that time, I had a Gretsch guitar. That's what I looked like back then. Wish I still looked part of that way, but I'm enjoying life no matter what God's given me. But enjoy. Watch what we get into, watch what we play, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.